I saw gifts for all the grandkids, but when I handed them over, my daughter-in-law stopped me. It was not necessary, we already bought them better things. Her words fell like a bucket of ice water. I just smiled. At the end of the day, nobody wanted to open their gifts. That afternoon, while I was wrapping the last present with my trembling hands, I did not know I was preparing my own humiliation. Each package carried more than just bright-colored paper. It carried pieces of my pension, pieces of my heart, pieces of the illusion that I still meant something to my family. I spent $450 from a monthly pension of $800. Do the math, I was left with almost nothing for the rest of the month. But that is how us grandmas are, right, capable of eating toast and noodles all week, just to see our grandchildren's eyes shine. I arrived at Michael's house, my only son, with 5 perfectly wrapped packages, one for each grandchild. I knocked on the door with a smile so big my cheeks hurt. I could hear the children laughing inside, music, the sound of a happy family that I believed I was part of. Linda opened the door, not with a smile, not with a hug, not with a "Hi, Mom, so good you are here," things any decent daughter-in-law would say. She opened the door like someone opening it for the delivery guy. "Hi," she said, blocking the entrance with her body. She was wearing a pristine white dress, perfect hair, freshly done nails. Everything about her screamed money that I knew they did not have, but I would discover that later. "Hi, honey," I told her, even though calling her honey scraped my throat more and more every time. "I brought little gifts for the kids. Can I come in?" Her eyes went down to my packages, not with joy, with contempt. Yes, now I can name it. Pure contempt. "It was not necessary," she said with that voice she used when she wanted to sound nice, but was actually being cruel. "We already bought them better things." The world stopped. Every word fell on me like stones. It was not necessary. We already bought them better things. I stood there with my 5 packages wrapped with love, feeling my chest tighten. Behind her, my grandkids were running happily. Matthew, the oldest, at 8, the twins Sarah and Valerie at 6, little Ethan at 4, and baby Lily, barely 2 years old. "Mom." "Who is it?" I heard Matthew yell. "Nobody important, sweetie." "Keep playing," Linda answered without turning around. Nobody important. Me, his grandmother. The woman who cried with happiness when he was born, the one who spent sleepless nights when he had chicken pox. Nobody important. I swallowed hard. I smiled. Because that is what women of my generation do, right? We smile even though they are driving a knife into our heart. "Well, but I am already here. Let me at least say hi to them." Linda sighed as if I was asking her to move a mountain. She stepped aside just enough for me to pass, grazing the wall. The house was decorated as if it were a castle. Balloons everywhere, a very long table full of expensive food, a 3-tier cake. It was the twins' birthday, a birthday to which, by the way, I was invited 2 days before, like someone inviting the neighbor out of obligation. Grandma Helen Ethan yelled, running towards me. At least he still remembered me with affection. He hugged my legs with that strength that only children have when love is genuine. But before I could stroke his hair, Linda pulled him by the arm. "Ethan, careful. You are going to wrinkle your new outfit." She took him away from me. The boy turned around confused, not understanding why he could not hug his grandmother. I placed my gifts on a chair near the entrance. The other children did not even turn to look at them. They were distracted with a mountain of new toys that shone in the middle of the living room. Toys that I was sure cost more than my rent. "You can sit over there," said Linda, pointing to a chair in the corner. The furthest one, the one that was half broken, the one that clearly was for visits, that did not matter. I sat down alone with my hands on my lap and my gifts forgotten 10 feet away. And there in that corner, while I watched my family celebrate without me, while I listened to their laughter that no longer included me, while I felt the weight of invisibility, that is where it all started. Because what Linda did not know, what none of them knew, was that that afternoon they not only rejected my gifts, they rejected the wrong woman, but that would still take time to discover. From my chair in the corner, I became a ghost. They passed by me as if I were part of the wall. Children running, adults laughing, waiters serving drinks in crystal glasses. Yes, waiters. Linda had hired a catering service for a birthday party for 2 6-year-old girls. I was still there with my wrinkled hands intertwined on my lap, trying to occupy the least space possible, as if apologizing for existing. At 4 in the afternoon, Linda's parents arrived, Morris and Gabriella. He, the owner of a used car dealership. She, one of those women who get surgery on their face every 2 years and wear dark glasses even indoors. They arrived like royalty visiting their subjects with their hands full. "The grandparents are here," yelled Linda, with an emotion she had never used with me. The children ran towards them as if they were salvation itself, and I do not blame them. They arrived with gifts that made mine look like they were wrapped in newspaper. Morris was carrying 2 new bicycles, not those simple ones from the supermarket. No, mountain bikes with gears, LED lights, matching helmets. Each one must have cost at least $300. Gabriella brought bags from an expensive department store. From there, she took out 2 brand new tablets. Tablets for 6-year-old girls, so they can learn with educational apps, she said with that voice of a person who has never had to choose between paying the electricity bill or buying medicine. The children went crazy. Screams, jumps, hugs. Linda was crying with emotion, hugging her mother. Michael, my son, smiled proudly next to his father-in-law, talking about, "I do not know what investment or business." And my 5 packages were still there on the same chair, unopened, untouched, unimportant. I got up with the intention of getting closer, of reminding them that I had also brought something. But taking 2 steps, I heard Linda's voice. It came from the hallway, talking on the phone. She did not see me. Or maybe she did, and simply did not care that I heard her. "Oh, Mom, I know. Yes, she came. No, we did not tell her not to come because Michael says she gets dramatic. Yes, she brought her little gifts from the market like always. You know, cheap junk wrapped in shiny paper." The kids did not even look at them. No, obviously they are not going to open them. "What for?" "You guys already gave them the good stuff. Cheap junk." Those words entered through my ears and stabbed directly into my soul. Cheap junk. The hand-knitted sweater for Matthew, where I spent 3 weeks of sleepless nights because my arthritic hands do not move like before. Cheap junk. The dresses I had custom-made with a seamstress for the twins, with their names embroidered on the chest. Cheap junk. The wooden fire truck for Ethan, hand painted by a local artisan. Cheap junk. The musical mobile for baby Lily with silver bells I inherited from my mother. Cheap junk. My legs trembled. I leaned on the wall. I took a deep breath. I was not going to cry. Not there. Not where they could see me weak. I went back to my chair. At 6 in the afternoon they served the food. Long tables with white tablecloths, porcelain plates, shiny silverware, paella steaks, gourmet salads, sushi. Sushi at a children's party. The guests sat down, complete families. Linda's parents at the main table next to Michael and her. The children at a table decorated with their favorite characters, cousins, uncles, friends. I waited for someone to tell me where to sit. Nobody did. Finally, one of the waitresses approached with a face of pity. "Ma'am, would you like to serve yourself?" There is a spot left at the table in the back. The table in the back was where they had put 2 neighbors who arrived without invitation, and a distant cousin nobody knew. The rejected ones, the leftovers. I sat there. When they brought me my plate, it was not porcelain like the others. It was plastic, one of those disposables, and the portion was notably smaller. The neighbor next to me looked at me with pity. "Are you family? I am the grandmother," I answered with a thread of a voice. "Oh," she said without knowing what else to add. Her awkward silence said more than 1,000 words. I ate in silence. Every bite tasted like humiliation. After the cake, after the photos, where curiously nobody called me to be in them after the piñatas and the games, the party began to end. The guests were saying goodbye. The children, exhausted and full of sugar, ran with their new toys. The bicycles already had bows with their names. The tablets were already set up. And my gifts were still there, exactly where I left them, unopened. Linda walked past them while picking up empty cups. She looked at them. She even touched one with her foot, as if evaluating if it was worth moving them or simply throwing them in the trash. Michael appeared by my side. Finally. My son. The boy I raised alone after his father died. The boy to whom I gave everything. Everything, even if it meant I was left with nothing. "Mom, it is late. Do you want me to order you an Uber?" He did not even offer to drive me. "Michael," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "The children did not open my gifts." He scratched the back of his neck, that gesture he did since he was a child when he was uncomfortable. "It is just that they already have a lot of things, Mom. You see how the in-laws are. They go overboard with gifts. But I am also their grandmother." "Yes, Mom, I know, but look, the truth is, Linda gets stressed when there is a lot of clutter. Better leave them there and we will see later if they open them. We will see later. Code 4. Never." "Son, I spent almost my entire pension on those gifts." His expression changed. Discomfort. Shame. No. Annoyance. "Mom, I have told you 1,000 times, you do not have to spend on us. We are fine. We are not poor like before." Like before. When we were poor together. When he was not ashamed that his lunch was toast and beans. When he hugged me and told me I was his hero. Now that he had a big house, a demanding wife, and rich in-laws, we were poor like before. "I understand," I said, standing up. "I am leaving. Wait, I will order the Uber." Order. "Do not worry. I will take the bus. Are you sure? It is just that right now I am busy with the guests." I did not wait for him to finish. I took my bag. I walked towards the door. I passed by my forgotten gifts. For a second, I thought about taking them back, but pride, that damn pride, did not let me. I left that house with my head high and my heart broken in pieces. On the bus back, a lady sitting next to me noticed my tears. "Are you okay, ma'am?" "Yes," I lied. "It is just the air." But it was not the air. It was the certainty that something inside me had just broken in a way that maybe would never be repaired. And the worst had not happened yet. I sat on my small sofa in my 2-bedroom apartment that smelled of loneliness and reheated coffee, going over every detail of the party, every look, every word, every silence. And then, like when you pull a thread and the whole sweater unravels, I began to remember. This had not started today. It had been going on for 2 years. 2 years since Michael married Linda. 2 years of humiliations that I had ignored, justified, swallowed like bitter pills with the hope that things would get better. But they never got better. Only I got worse. Smaller, more invisible, more stupid. The first humiliation came even before the wedding. Michael called me a Tuesday afternoon 3 weeks before the ceremony. I already had my dress bought. Navy blue, simple but elegant. It had cost me $150 that I took from my savings. I had also set aside $500 to give them as a gift. It was all I could, but it was given with love. "Mom, I need to talk to you about something delicate," he told me, with that voice children use when they are about to break your heart, but want to appear reasonable. "Tell me, son. Look, it is about the wedding, the courthouse wedding specifically. Yes, I have everything ready. What time do you pick me up?" Silence. "Mom, it is just that. Linda and I were looking at the numbers, and the place is very small, only 50 people fit, okay? And while there are many guests, Linda's parents have a big family, cousins, uncles, business partners. It is important for them." My stomach began to close. "Michael, what are you trying to tell me?" "That maybe it would be better if you did not go to the courthouse. After all, the important one is the church wedding. There you will be in the front row, I promise." The world went silent. "Are you uninviting me from your wedding?" "It is not uninviting, Mom. It is being practical. Besides, the civil one is just paperwork. The real one is the church. I am your mother, Michael. I know, Mom, but I also have to think about Linda and her family. She is stressed with all this. Please do not make it harder. Do not make it harder. As if I were the problem, as if my presence were a burden." "Is that okay?" I said with a broken voice. "I will not go. I knew you would understand. You are the best mom." He hung up happy. I cried for 3 hours, and I kept my word. I did not go to the civil wedding of my only son. I stayed home watching soap operas that I did not register, eating sweet bread that tasted like nothing, while somewhere in the city, my son signed papers that tied him to a woman who had just erased me from her life. The church wedding was a month later. There I went in the front row like he promised, but not next to Linda's parents, who were on the other side with designer suits and elegant hats. I was alone. On my side of the church, there were only 3 persons: my 2 sisters, Stella and Lucy, and Mr. Henderson, the neighbor from the building who helps me with grocery bags. Linda's side was full. It looked like a royal wedding. Flowers up to the ceiling, a 20-piece orchestra, 500 guests. My $500 gift disappeared into a mountain of envelopes that surely multiplied that figure by 20. After the wedding came other humiliations, more subtle, quieter, but just as sharp. The second big wound came 3 months later when Matthew was born, my first grandson. I had knitted a blanket white with baby blue. It took me 2 months of work. Every stitch carried a prayer for that baby I did not know yet, but already loved. I arrived at the hospital with my blanket and a pot of chicken soup. Grandmas know that after childbirth, a good soup cures everything. The nurse stopped me at the door. "Name I am the grandmother Helen Reyes." She checked her list. "You are not on the authorized visitors list. It must be a mistake. I am the dad's mother. I am sorry, ma'am. I can only let in whoever is on the list." I called Michael. He did not answer. I sent a text. Nothing. I waited 2 hours in that waiting room that smelled of disinfectant and broken dreams. Finally, Michael came out with dark circles under his eyes, but happy. "Mom, what are you doing here?" "What do you mean?" "What am I doing here? My grandson was born." "Oh, yeah. It is just that Linda only wanted her parents to come in for now. You know she is very sensitive. She says a lot of people stress her out." "Michael, I waited 2 hours. I know, Mom, but that is how these things are. Better go rest. Tomorrow come to the house and you meet the baby calmly. Tomorrow." Linda's parents were inside holding the baby for hours. But me, the other grandmother, could wait until tomorrow. I went home. I cried over my hand-knitted blanket. I did not eat the chicken soup. It spoiled in my fridge. When I finally met Matthew 3 days later, 100 people had already held him before me. He already had new clothes that the in-laws gave him. He already had his room decorated with things they paid for. My blanket stayed folded in a drawer. They never used it. Then came the daily humiliations. Those that hurt more, because they are constant like drops of water falling on a stone until breaking it. The biscuits. I always made my own biscuits. Homemade, like my grandmother taught me, like I taught my son. Fluffy, warm biscuits that smell like home and love. One Sunday, I brought a batch for family lunch. I put them on the table with pride. Linda looked at them as if I had put cockroaches on her tablecloth. "Oh, sweetie, what a shame, but homemade biscuits sit very heavy on my stomach." "I have a delicate stomach. Michael, can you go get some store-bought rolls?" Michael obeyed like a lapdog. My biscuits ended up in the trash. Then it was my advice. When Matthew turned 1 and started with tantrums, I suggested with affection, "Honey, in my times, a little patience and love." With all due respect, Linda interrupted me. "Parenting methods have evolved. I read modern pedagogy books. Things are not done like in your time anymore, like in my time." As if I had raised my son in caves. Michael, who was an educated, respectful, successful man, turned out it was all luck. Not my effort, just luck despite my obsolete methods. And then came the blow that should have opened my eyes, but that I fool me also let pass. Matthew's birthday. The first birthday of the first grandson. I thought it would be special, that they would ask for my help, that they would include me. Nothing. I found out about the party on Facebook. Yes, through a post Linda made 3 days after the event. Photos of the boy with his cake, with his grandparents, the other grandparents, surrounded by balloons and gifts. I did not know there was a birthday. I called Michael, shaking with rage. Son, was there a party for Matthew? "Oh, yes, Mom. It was something small, intimate. And why didn't you tell me it was just last minute? We didn't want to bother. We didn't want to bother, as if going to my grandson's birthday was a bother for me. For 2 years I swallowed. The last-minute invitations, the convenient forgetfulness, the comparisons with the other grandparents, the contempt disguised as it is. Just that is how Linda is, you know her. I swallowed and swallowed and swallowed until my insides were full of bile. And that night after the twins' party, after seeing my gifts rejected, after eating on a plastic plate, while the others used porcelain that night, something inside me stopped swallowing. Something woke up, something dark and tired and full of a dignified fury that had been asleep too long. I got up from my sofa at 3 a.m, turned on the kitchen light, took out an old notebook, and began to write. Every humiliation, every date, every witness, every dollar spent. Because if I learned something in my 67 years is this: memory is weak, but paper does not forget. And I had a feeling I was going to need to remember every detail of this silent war I had been losing, but was about to change strategy. A week passed since the twins' birthday, a week in which I did not call. I did not ask about the kids. I did not send good morning messages like I did every morning since Matthew was born. Silence. And that silence was revealing. Because they did not call either. Not Michael asking if I was okay. Not the kids asking to talk to Grandma Helen. Nothing. I only existed for them when they needed me. And Friday afternoon, as the universe had predicted, with its cruel irony, they needed me. Michael called at 7 at night. I was having tea with sweetbread for dinner, watching my soap opera. "Mom, are you busy?" The tone. That happy and urgent tone he used when he wanted something. "No, son. Tell me. Look, I am going to ask you a huge favor. Huge favor. I was already preparing for the blow. Linda and I have a super important commitment this weekend. It is work. Very urgent. And we need you to watch the kids. This whole weekend." "Yes." "From tomorrow Friday afternoon until Sunday night. I know it is a lot to ask, but you are the only one we trust, Mom. The only one they trusted." How curious. The only one when they needed a free nanny, but not the only one to include in birthdays or family decisions. And Linda's parents, I asked, although I knew the answer. They are traveling. Besides, they have their things. You are the grandmother. The kids love you. The kids love me, but nobody opens my gifts. "Michael, I do not know. This week I have been tired. Mom, please. It is extremely important. If we do not get someone to watch them, we are going to lose a business opportunity that could change our life. Always the emotional blackmail, always making me feel that if I said no, I was the bad one. It is okay," I finally said, "because mothers are fools and our heart always wins over our dignity. I will watch them. Thanks, Mom. You are the best. Tomorrow, you pick them up at 5. I will tell them to get their things ready." He hung up before I could regret it. On Friday, I arrived at their house at 5 sharp. I rang the doorbell. Nobody opened. I rang again. Nothing. Finally, Linda opened the door, disheveled in pajamas, with a face of annoyance. "Oh, Helen, I thought you would arrive later. They said 5. "Yes, well, come in. The kids are watching TV." I went in. The house was a disaster. Toys everywhere, dirty dishes in the sink, clothes thrown around, the smell of garbage not taken out. "Did you leave food prepared for the kids?" I asked. "Oh no, we did not have time. But there is money on the table for you to order something." I looked at the table. There was a $20 bill. $20 to feed 5 children for 3 days. "Linda, this is not enough even for—" "Oh, Helen, you are good at making money stretch. Besides, there are canned beans in the fridge and rice. You will figure it out." She went to her room. Michael did not even come down to say hi. Half an hour later, they came down with suitcases. Big suitcases. Elegant clothes. Michael with a linen shirt. Linda with a beach dress and a hat. "Is that for a work commitment?" I asked, pointing at her outfit. "It is a corporate retreat," said Michael without looking me in the eyes. "At a hotel. But there are important meetings." Linda was already taking selfies with her latest model phone. "Well, Mom, call us for anything. The kids already know they have to obey you. There are diapers for Lily in her room. Matthew has math homework. The twins cannot watch TV after 8. You know the routines. Wait. And the pediatrician's number in case something happens. It is on the fridge on a magnet. Well, we are leaving. It is getting late. Kids behave well with Grandma." And they left. They left, leaving me in that dirty house with 5 kids, $20, and no clear instructions. I stayed there standing, listening to the engine of their SUV driving away, and something inside me whispered, "This is not right." But I swallowed. Again, like always. I rolled up my sleeves and started. First, I cleaned the kitchen. The breakfast dishes were still there with stuck food. I cleaned, I washed, I disinfected. Then I made food with what there was. Rice beans, some eggs I found at the back of the fridge. I made quesadillas with tortillas I brought myself because I knew there would be nothing. The children ate as if they had gone days without tasting homemade food. "Grandma Helen, why does the food you make taste better?" asked Ethan with his mouth full. "Because I make it with love, my darling," I answered, stroking his little head. Linda was right about something. I did know how to make money stretch. The $20 I used to buy basics. Milk, bread, eggs, vegetables. I cooked everything from scratch, 3 meals every day. But I did not only cook. I washed mountains of dirty clothes I found accumulated. I ironed, I folded, I put away. I cleaned bathrooms. 3 bathrooms that seemed not to have been cleaned in weeks. I played with the kids. Legos with Matthew, dolls with the twins, cars with Ethan, songs with Lily. I helped with homework. Matthew had 3 overdue assignments his mom had not had time to check. I gave them baths, the 5 of them, one by one with patience. I told them stories before sleeping. I hugged them when they had nightmares. I did not sleep. Barely. Lily woke up every 3 hours. Ethan wet the bed and I had to change sheets at 2 in the morning. Sarah had a fever on Saturday, and I spent the night putting cold cloths on her. By Sunday afternoon, the house was impeccable, shining. The clothes clean and folded, the children bathed, combed, fed, happy. I was destroyed. My back hurt my knees, my hands swollen from so much washing. I had not slept more than 10 hours in 3 days, but I did it because that is how grandmas are, because we love beyond tiredness. Michael and Linda arrived at 9 at night, tanned, radiant, relaxed. Linda entered laughing at something on her phone. Michael was carrying a bag of souvenirs. "Mom, everything good?" asked Michael, leaving his suitcase in the living room I had just vacuumed. "Yes, the kids are asleep." "Great. Thanks. Thanks. One word, like someone thanking the person who holds the door open." Linda went straight up to her room without even saying hi to me. "Son," I said with a tired voice, "where are you coming from?" From the corporate retreat, I told you." "Where was that retreat?" He got nervous. At a hotel near here." "Well, Mom, we are tired. Do you want me to order you an Uber?" "No, thanks. I will take the bus." "Sure. Okay, well, thanks again." I left, sore, exhausted, with that bitter taste in the mouth that intuition gives when something does not add up. I arrived at my house. I threw myself on the bed without even taking off my shoes. And then, because the universe has a cruel sense of humor, I opened Facebook. And there it was, a post from Linda, her life 2 hours ago. Photos, dozens of photos. Linda in a swimsuit in an infinity pool. Michael with a cocktail in his hand. The 2 of them in an elegant restaurant with lobster, beach cabanas, sunset on the ocean, couples massages, glasses of champagne. The caption, "Deserved couples rest, Cabo without kids, freedom, love, total relax, Cabo, Cabo." It was not a corporate retreat. It was not a meeting. It was not urgent work. It was a luxury weekend at a resort in Cabo, while his stupid mother broke my back taking care of his children without sleeping with $20 in his dirty house. My hands were shaking holding the phone. I kept looking at the photos, like self-imposed torture. There was one where you could see the resort bracelets, all-inclusive. Those places cost at least $800 a night, $2,000 for the weekend, while I stretched $20 for 5 kids. While they owed me $2,500, they were never going to pay back. Something inside me broke, not with noise, not with drama. It broke in silence, like when a crystal glass cracks internally and on the outside looks whole but can never hold anything again without spilling. I cried. I cried like I had not cried since my husband died. I cried of rage, of humiliation, of exhaustion, of loneliness. But above all, I cried because finally I understood something I should have understood 2 years ago. For them, I was not a mother. I was not a grandmother. I was a free service. And that night I made a decision. I was not going to be free anymore. I was not going to be a service anymore. I was not going to be invisible anymore. I was going to charge. Not with money, with something much more valuable, with dignity. Monday morning I woke up different. Not lighter, not happier, but clearer. Like when you take off dirty glasses you had been wearing for years and suddenly see the world as it is. Ugly, cruel, but real. I made my coffee. I sat at my little table by the window, and I took my phone. I blocked Linda's social media, not out of anger, for mental health. I did not need to keep seeing her perfect life built on my back. But before closing Facebook, I saw something. A comment on her Cabo post, from a friend of hers. Friend, you deserved it. After all the stress with the debts, you needed this break. Debts. That word stayed floating in my mind like a fly in the soup. What debts? If according to Michael they were fine, if they could pay for $4,000 parties, if they had a big house, new SUV, brand name clothes, what debts? The week passed slow. I did not call them. They did not call me either. Saturday morning, Michael sent me a text. Mom, can you watch the kids Wednesday afternoon? Linda has a doctor's appointment. Not how are you? Not how did it go after watching them all weekend? Just, can you watch? I answered. I cannot. I have an appointment. I lied. I did not have anything, but I needed them to feel at least a little bit of what it feels like to be discarded. Okay. I will see what I do. And that was it. He did not even ask what appointment. He did not care. 2 weeks later, a Sunday, Michael called me. Mom, we are going to have lunch. Do you want to come? After a month of silence, suddenly they invited me. Something did not add up, but I accepted, because I needed to see them. I needed to confirm my suspicions. I arrived at their house at noon. I rang the doorbell. Linda opened with a smile that did not reach her eyes. Helen, come in, come in. The house was impeccable. Too much. Like when you clean in a rush because important company is coming. The children greeted me with genuine hugs. At least they still loved me. Where are we going to eat? I asked. Right here, said Linda. I ordered Chinese food. You know, so we do not spend so much. There it was again. The money topic. During lunch, I noticed things. Michael was nervous. He kept moving his leg under the table. Linda was on her phone every 5 minutes. And on the table between the Chinese food containers there were papers. Papers they tried to cover with a tablecloth when I sat down. But I saw them. Bank statements. Bank logos. When Linda went to the bathroom and Michael went up to change Lily, I stayed alone in the dining room. The children were watching television in the living room, and those papers were there 2 feet from me. I am not a snoop. I have never been one to check drawers or read other people's messages. But something inside me, that mother's instinct that smells danger miles away, made me reach out. I took one of the papers. It was a credit card statement. Chase Bank, in the name of Michael Reyes. Current balance $15,000. Minimum payment due $800. Late fees $300. My heart began to beat faster. I took another paper. Amex, Linda Reyes, balance $12,000. Another one, Macy's, department store card, balance $5,000. Another, personal loan, amount $20,000. Monthly payment $1,000. Overdue 3 months. My hands were trembling while I checked paper after paper. It was not 1 or 2. It was piles, credit cards, all maxed out, all with late fees, personal loans, payroll loans, even a pawn shop slip. I did quick mental math. The total debt was approximately $50,000. $50,000. My entire pension for 5 years. How could a young couple with good jobs owe so much? And then I remembered. The wedding. That ostentatious wedding with 500 guests. The proposal at an expensive restaurant. The honeymoon in Europe. The house. Bigger than they needed. In an expensive area. The SUV. Brand new when a used car would have been enough. The parties. Every birthday of the children as if they were royal weddings. The clothes. All brand name. For them and the children. The trips. Cabo. Puerto Vallarta. Twice to Hawaii. The toys. Tablets. Consoles. Expensive bicycles. Everything. Everything was to show off. So that Linda's family thought Michael was successful. So that on social media, they looked like the perfect family. They lived a lie built with plastic credit. And then, like a lightning bolt splitting the sky, I remembered something else. 6 months ago. Michael called me crying. "Mom, I need help. It is urgent." "What happened, son?" "It is Sarah. She has a strong infection. She needs tests and expensive medication. Insurance does not cover everything. I need $5,000. I know it is a lot, but $5,000. My savings of 10 years. The money I was saving for when I got sick. For when I could no longer fend for myself. For my uncertain future. Mom, if it is not for her, I would not ask you. But she is my daughter, your granddaughter. How was I going to say no?" The next day, I went to the bank. I took out my $5,000. I gave it to him. "I will pay you back in 3 months, Mom. I promise. With interest." 6 months passed. He never paid it back. He never mentioned it again. And I never claimed it because family does not charge family. But now, seeing those papers, I understood. There was no medical emergency. Sarah was never grave. They used my savings to pay debts, or worse, to keep showing off. While I ate rice all week to save another $50. While I wore the same clothes from 10 years ago. While I turned off the heater to save gas. They went to Cabo. The paper I had in my hand began to crumple in my closed fist. I heard footsteps on the stairs. Quickly, I arranged the papers back how they were. I covered everything with the tablecloth. I sat up straight. I took a deep breath. Michael came down with Lily in his arms. "Everything good, Mom?" "Yes, son. Everything good." Lie. Nothing was good. Linda came out of the bathroom touching up her makeup. "Well, Helen, I hope you liked the food. It was delicious." I lied. We sat down to finish eating. They talked about unimportant things. I nodded mechanically, but my mind was somewhere else. It was calculating, planning, understanding. Finally, after dessert, which was a cheap bakery lemon pie, Michael cleared his throat. "Mom, I need to talk to you about something important." There it was. That is why they invited me. "Tell me." "It is about the house." My house. The little 2-story house I inherited from my parents. In the suburbs. Small, yes, but in an area that in recent years had increased in value a lot. A house that was worth, according to the last appraisal I got, $350,000. My only possession of value. My only security. "What about the house?" I asked with a calm voice, although my stomach was twisting. "Well, Linda and I have been thinking. You are getting old. That house is a lot of maintenance for you. The stairs, the garden." "I manage fine." "I know, Mom. But, look, we have a proposal." Linda leaned forward with a used car salesman's smile. "Helen, we know someone who is interested in buying in that area. He offers $250,000 in cash. Fast deal. $100,000 less than the real value." "And you come live with us," continued Michael. "We have a room on the ground floor, small but comfortable. You would be with your grandkids every day, with my grandkids, and being their full-time nanny without pay. Besides, added Linda, that money you can invest. We will help you look for something that gives you returns." Sure, and helping meant that money would end up paying their $50,000 of debt. They wanted to leave me without a house, without assets, dependent on them, tied to them forever. I looked at them. I really looked at them. My son, the boy I raised, the one who swore to take care of me always, and his wife, the woman who had turned him into this. I smiled. A calm smile, soft. "Let me think about it," I said. "Mom, but it is urgent. The buyer only waits until—" I said, "Let me think about it, Michael." My tone was firm, firmer than it had been in 2 years. Michael fell silent. Something in my look told him there was a limit, and that he had just reached it. I said goodbye. I hugged my grandkids. I left that house. And on the bus back, while the city passed by the window, I made a decision. They were not going to have my house. They were not going to have me. I was going to protect myself, for the first time in my life. And they were going to learn that mothers forgive. But mothers also remember. And when a mother decides that it is enough, It is enough. I arrived at my house that night with a purpose, not with revenge, not yet, with clarity. I sat in my dining room. I took out an old notebook I used to write down recipes, and I began to write. Everything, every dollar lent, every humiliation, every broken promise. The $5,000 they never returned. Date, March 2024. Witness, none. But I remembered the bank receipt, the parties where they sat me apart, 4 in total. Witnesses, my sisters Stella and Lucy and 2 of them. The weekends watching kids without pay, 6 times in 8 months. The rejected gifts, $450 thrown in the trash. I wrote for 2 hours. When I finished, I had 3 pages full of a truth that hurt to read altogether. I was not a dramatic mother. I was a used mother. The next day, Monday morning, I did something I had never done. I called my best friend Betty. Betty and I knew each other since elementary school. She had studied law, worked 30 years as a paralegal. Now she was retired. She lived 3 blocks from my house and was one of the few people I fully trusted. Betty, I told her when she answered. I need legal advice. Did something bad happen, Helen? Bad, no, but I need to protect myself. Come to the house right now. Half an hour later, she was sitting in my living room with chamomile tea in her hands, telling her everything. Betty listened in silence. She did not interrupt me. She did not judge me. When I finished, she sighed deeply. Helen, you have been emotionally abused for 2 years, and now they want to take the only thing you have. What do I do? First, you need to document everything. Do you have proof of that loan? I have the bank receipt where I took out the money and WhatsApp messages where Michael asks for it. Perfect, save them. Take screenshots. She took out a notebook and began to write. Second, your house. Is it in your name? Yes. I inherited it from my parents 15 years ago. The deed is in my name. Did you make a will? I stayed quiet. Betty, I told Michael verbally that the house would be for him, but I never put it in writing. Betty closed her eyes, relieved. Thank God. That means that legally you can do whatever you want with that property, and nobody can force you to sell it. But Michael says they already have a buyer. Let them have 1,000 buyers. Without your signature, nothing is sold. Period. She explained my rights. She explained how to protect my assets. She talked to me about wills, about trusts, about options. And if I want to change my will, I asked timidly, it is your absolute right. You can leave your house to whoever you want, to an institution, to a cat, to nobody. Even if I promised it to my son Helen, a verbal promise is not a contract. And besides, promises are made under certain conditions of respect and love. If those conditions no longer exist, I understood. Help me, I told her. Help me protect myself. Betty took my hand. We are going to make a new will. We are going to document everything, and we are going to make sure that when the time comes to set limits, you do it from a position of strength, not begging. That week was intense. Betty accompanied me to the notary. We made a new will. There, I established that my house, at the moment of my death, would be donated to a foundation that helps children with cancer, not to Michael, to children who really need it. I kept the document in a safety deposit box at the bank. I also did something else. I recovered all the receipts of gifts I had given in the last 2 years. I kept everything. Old habit of my generation. The knitted sweater, $30 in fine yarn. The embroidered dresses, $80 each. The wooden car, $60. The mobile with silver bells, $150. It was my mother's, but I had the appraisal. Birthdays, Christmas, Children's Day, Easter. I added everything up $5,000 in 2 years. Almost a year of my pension and gifts that ended up in forgotten corners or in the trash. The numbers did not lie. While I did all this, Michael called 3 times. Mom, did you think about the house? I am still thinking, son. It is just that the buyer is pressuring. Let him wait. My tone was different. No longer begging, no longer soft, firm. The 4th time he called was a Friday night. I was eating dinner calm, watching my show. Mom, I need us to talk. This is serious. Tell me. Tomorrow I am going to your house at 11. Linda and I need you to sign the pre-sale papers. I have not said I am going to sell. Mom. His voice went up in tone. It was no longer a request. It was a demand. I am not asking for permission. We need that money. We have situations to resolve. Ah, finally the truth. What situations, Michael? Silence. The debts. More silence. Heavy. Guilty. How do you know I saw the papers on your table? The $50,000 you owe. I heard his breathing accelerate. That is none of your business. It becomes my business when you want to use my house to pay your debts. It is not like that, Mom. It is an investment. I would explain it to you if you were not so what, Michael? So complicated, always so dramatic. Dramatic. Me, who swallowed 2 years of humiliations without saying anything. And tell me, son, my voice came out icy. The $5,000 I lent you were also for investment. Deadly silence. Because you told me it was for a medical emergency for Sarah, but Sarah was never sick, right? Mom, right? There was a problem with the cards. They were going to repossess the SUV. We needed... You lied. I did not lie. I just did not tell you everything. You lied to me, Michael. And you used your daughter as an excuse to take my savings. It was an emergency. What did you want me to do? That we were left without an SUV? I wanted you to tell me the truth. And that you sold that SUV you cannot pay instead of living in a lie. You do not understand anything. Linda has a reputation to protect. Her family expects... And what does your family expect, Michael? Your mother, what does she expect? You always supported us. You were always there to help. Helping is one thing. Being used is another. Do not be unfair. Unfair. Me. After watching your children while you went on vacation, after eating on a plastic plate while your father-in-law ate on porcelain, after you left my gifts unopened as if they were trash, you are going to start with that again. Yes, Michael, I am going to start. Because I never finished. Because I swallowed everything. But it is over. Mom, if you do not help us with this, we are going to lose the house. And there it was. The final truth. They did not want me to sell so I could live with them. They wanted me to sell to save them. That is not my responsibility. I am your son, and I am your mother, not your bank, not your servant, not your lifesaver every time you and your wife make bad decisions. Linda is right. You are selfish. You always were. Those words hurt more than all the previous ones together. If you believe that I said with a trembling but firm voice, then we have nothing more to talk about. Mom, do not come tomorrow. I'm not going to sign anything. My house is mine, and it is going to keep being mine until the day I decide what to do with it. You are going to regret it. I already regret it, Michael. Of many things. But of this, I am not going to regret. I hung up. My hands were shaking. I let myself fall on the couch, and I cried. Not of sadness, of liberation. For the first time in 2 years, I had said no, and the sky did not fall. The world did not end. I was still there, stronger than I thought. That night, I slept better than in months. Because finally, I understood something I should have always known. A mother's love has no limits, but self-respect should not have them either. And I had just found mine. But this was just beginning. Because Michael was not one of those who accepted a no for an answer, and what came next that showed me what my son was really made of. After hanging up on Michael that night, something changed in me. It was not immediate. It was not magic. It was like when the sun comes out after a storm. Slow, gradual, but inevitable. I got up from the couch. I washed my face. I looked at myself in the mirror, and for the first time in a long time, I recognized the woman looking back. It was not the invisible grandmother begging for crumbs of affection. It was Helen Reyes, 67 years old, widow, survivor. A woman who had raised a son alone while working double shifts. A woman who had buried her husband and did not crumble. A woman who deserved respect. When had I forgotten I made myself tea? I sat at my table, and I began to plan. If Michael thought this was over, he was wrong. This was just beginning, but this time with my rules. The next day, Saturday, I called my sisters. Stella, the oldest, 72 years old, retired teacher widow too. Lucy, the youngest, 63 seamstress, married to Mr. Roberts. We had not met for months. Michael always made excuses not to visit them. They are too far, Mom. The kids get bored there. Linda has things to do. The truth is, they never liked Linda. And Linda knew it. Sisters, I told them when they arrived at my house that afternoon, with pastries and hot chocolate, I need your help. I told them everything. Every detail. Every humiliation. Every lie. Stella clenched her fists. Lucy cried of anger. That boy, said Stella with a voice of steel. You raised him better than this. That woman ruined him, added Lucy. Since he married her, he changed. I cannot blame only her, I said. Michael is an adult. He is choosing this. And what are you going to do? Asked Stella. I am going to protect myself, but I need you to be witnesses of everything. I showed them my notebook with the notes, the receipts, the screenshots. Good Lord, Helen whispered Lucy, seeing the numbers. They stole your future. They are not going to steal it anymore. That day we made a plan. Stella, with her experience as a teacher who never let anyone push her around, advised me, you need to document every interaction. If they call you record, if they write to you screenshot, they are going to want to make you look like the bad one. Do not let them. Lucy, more emotional but equally strong, added, and you need witnesses, sister. Do not face them alone. We are going to be there. But above all, said Stella, taking my hand, do not fight from anger. Fight from reason with a cold head. That is where you win. She was right. The following days passed strangely calm. Michael did not call, did not write. Silence. It was the silence children put on when they are upset and want to punish you with their absence. The silence that before broke my heart. But now it was peace. I used that time wisely. I went to the bank. I spoke with my account executive. Mrs. Reyes, how can I help you? I need to make sure that nobody but me can access my accounts or make movements. We checked everything: passwords, access, authorized signatures. Is there anyone else registered on your accounts? There shouldn't be. She checked in the system. No, ma'am, just you. I sighed, relieved. But I recommend you activate two-step authentication and movement alerts by message. I did it all. I also did something more important. I went to the notary where my new will was. Counselor, I said to the notary, an older man with thick glasses, is there a way for my son to know I changed the will? No, ma'am, the will is confidential until the moment of your passing. Perfect. But he added with professional curiosity, can I ask why you made this change? It is not common for a mother to disinherit her only son. I did not disinherit him, counselor. I just decided that my assets do more good elsewhere. He nodded. Did not judge, just wrote down. One more thing, I said. Can I add a clause? Depends on what type. I want that. When the will is read, a letter is included, a letter explaining why I made this decision. A posthumous letter. Exactly. He looked at me over his glasses. Mrs. Reyes' wills with explanatory letters are usually the ones that hurt the most. Are you sure? Completely. That afternoon, sitting in my dining room, I wrote the letter. Not with anger, not with hate, with truth. Michael, if you are reading this, it means I am no longer here, and it means that finally you will know the truth of why I made this decision. It was not revenge, it was protection. Protection towards children who do not have grandmothers. Towards families that need a roof. Towards a future I could not secure for me, but that I can secure for others. I loved you. I love you. I will love you always. But loving does not mean letting myself be used. Loving does not mean handing over my dignity along with my assets. I hope that when you read this, you understand that a mother can forgive everything except losing herself. With eternal love, your mom. I folded the letter. I sealed it. I gave it to the notary. This will be read along with the will he confirmed to me. I left that notary feeling lighter. I had secured my future. Or at least I had avoided my assets ending up paying debts of a life that was not mine. But the plan did not end there, because I knew Michael was not going to give up, and I was right. 2 weeks later, a Tuesday afternoon, they knocked on my door. I opened. It was Michael. Alone. Without Linda. Without the kids. With a face of not having slept in days. Mom, can we talk? I let him in. We sat in the living room, him on the couch, Me in my chair, like strangers. I came to ask for forgiveness, he said with a broken voice, and he began to cry, not whimpering, real crying, desperate. Mom, I am desperate. Linda and I, we are going to lose everything. The bank is about to foreclose on the house. They already took the SUV. They are suing us for the credit cards. So, he looked at me confused. So, Mom, we are going to be on the street. With 5 children. You should have thought about those 5 children before spending $2,000 in Cabo. He lowered his head. You are right. We were idiots. But it is just that we wanted to prove to Linda's family that I was enough. That I was not the poor guy who married their daughter, and proving it was worth losing your dignity. Was it worth lying to me? Was it worth humiliating me? I did not mean to humiliate you, Mom. But you did. Again and again. I know. And I am sorry. But please help us. We only need $20,000 to settle the most urgent debts. After that, we will pay you back, like you paid me back the $5,000 from before. He stayed silent. Michael, I said with a tired voice, those $20,000 are almost everything I have. If I give them to you, what is going to happen in 6 months when you are in crisis again? It is not going to happen. Yes, it is going to happen, because you have not changed anything. Linda still wants to show off. You keep letting her. And I keep being your lifesaver. I already spoke to her. She is going to change. Where is she right now? At the house. Why did she not come with you to ask for forgiveness? Silence. Because she does not believe we did anything wrong, right? He did not answer, but his silence said everything. Michael, leave. Mom, leave. And think well about what you really want in your life. Because if you want a relationship with me, it is going to be under my terms, with respect, with honesty, without manipulation. And the kids, do you not care about your grandkids that low blow? I care about them more than you imagine. That is why I am not going to teach them that it is okay to use people, even if those people are family. He stood up, defeated. At the door, he turned around. Do you not love me anymore? That question broke me. I love you so much that I prefer to see you fall now and learn than to keep rescuing you and see how you sink deeper. He left, and I stayed there standing by the window, watching him walk towards his old car, borrowed probably with his shoulders slumped. And it hurt. It hurt like it hurts to reject a child. But I knew it was necessary, because sometimes true love is not giving, it is knowing when to stop giving. That night, Betty called me. How do you feel, Helen? Like they ripped my heart out. It is normal. You just set boundaries for the first time in your life. Did I do good? You did the right thing, which is not always the same as what feels good. She was right. But what I did not know, what neither of us knew, is that Michael had an ace up his sleeve. A desperate move. And when he played it, everything exploded in a way I never imagined. 2 months passed. 2 months of absolute silence. No calls. No messages. Not even photos of the children on social media. It was as if Michael and his family had disappeared from my life. And it hurts. I am not going to lie. It hurts when your son's silence is so heavy it wakes you up at night. But I stood firm. I used that time to heal, to reconnect with myself. I started going to the park to walk every morning. I resumed my prayer group at church. I spent afternoons with my sisters. I read books I had kept stored for years. I discovered that peace, although lonely, was better than toxic company. Until a Friday afternoon in October, my phone rang. Michael. My heart skipped a beat. Had he reconsidered? Would he come to apologize for real? Hello? Mom. His voice sounded different. Weird, like forced. How are you? Good, son. And you, I need to see you. It is about the house. There it was again. The house. Michael, we already talked about that. No, Mom. Listen to me. It is not what you think. Just, can you come tomorrow at 11? To the house, please. Something in his tone put me on alert. What is happening? Just come. It is important. Trust me. Trust me. The words people use before betraying you. But he was my son, and a mother's foolish hope never dies completely. It is okay. I will be there. That night I barely slept. I called Betty. Betty Michael asked me to go tomorrow. He says it is about the house. Do not go alone. What do not go alone? When someone desperate cites you to talk about property, it is never good. I am going with you. I do not want to make a scene. Helen, your son owes you $5,000, wants your $350,000 house, and is up to his neck in debts. This is already a scene. I am going with you. And so it was. Saturday at 11 in the morning, Betty and I arrived at Michael's house. She carried a briefcase. I carried my purse and nerves in my stomach. We rang the doorbell. Michael opened, surprised to see Betty. Mom, I thought you would come alone. Betty accompanied me. Is there a problem? He hesitated but stepped aside. No, there is no problem. Come in. We entered. The house looked different, emptier. Some things were missing. The big painting in the living room, the expensive lamp in the dining room. Did you sell things? I asked. We had to adjust, he answered without looking me in the eyes. He took us to the living room, and there they were. Linda sitting on the couch with a stone face and her parents, Morris and Gabriella. And a man I did not know, gray suit, briefcase face of a lawyer or notary. I stopped dead. What is this? Mom, sit down, please. I am not going to sit down until you tell me what is happening here. Michael took a deep breath. It is a family meeting. To resolve this in the best way. Betty squeezed my arm. Helen, we can leave right now. No, I said. I want to hear this. We sat down, Betty next to me facing all of them. Morris spoke first. Helen, they asked us to come as mediators. Michael and Linda are going through a very difficult moment. I am sure that you as a mother do not want to see your son suffer. Of course not. Then you will understand that sometimes sacrifices have to be made for family. I have spent my whole life making sacrifices for my family. Gabriella intervened with that sweet voice she used. Precisely because of that, we know you have a huge heart and that you will not allow your grandchildren to be left homeless. There it was, the emotional manipulation. My grandchildren are not going to be left homeless if their parents learn to live with what they have. Linda let out a bitter laugh. Sure easy to say when you have a paid-off house and we have to support 5 kids. A house that I paid for with my work, nobody gave it to me. Enough, interrupted the man in the gray suit. Mrs. Reyes, allow me to introduce myself. I am Mr. Martinez, legal representative of the Dominguez family. Betty tensed up next to me. And what is your client doing here? She asked with a lawyer voice. We are here to present Mrs. Reyes with a legal proposal, one that benefits everyone. He took out some papers from his briefcase. This is a purchase agreement for the property located at 47 Jacaranda Street. My house. The offer is for $340,000, $10,000 more than what was offered previously. The money would be deposited in your account, and you would have the right to live in the property for life without paying rent. It is a very generous offer, Mrs. Reyes added Morris. In fact, we would be the buyers, and that way the house stays in the family. I understood everything in that moment. They wanted to buy my house, put it in their name, let me live there for life, but without being the owner. And when I died, the house would be for Michael and Linda. No, it would be for the Dominguez family. And if I refused to sell what I asked. Mr. Martinez smiled a smile that did not reach his eyes. Well, ma'am, that would be regrettable because we would have to consider other legal options. Like which ones? Like a lawsuit for grandparent support for your grandchildren. Michael is your only son. The children are your only grandchildren. Legally, you have an obligation to contribute to their maintenance if the parents cannot. My blood froze. Are you threatening me? It is not a threat, said Morris with false kindness. It is the law. Grandparents have responsibilities. Betty stood up like a spring. That is completely false. The obligation for support from grandparents only applies when the parents are incapacitated or dead. Michael and Linda are healthy and working. The lawyer did not even flinch. There is case law where grandparents have been forced to contribute when parents are in a critical economic situation. And are you going to demonstrate in a trial that they are in crisis because they went into $50,000 of debt in luxuries? Is that going to look good in a file? A tense silence fell. Michael finally spoke. Mom, please, it does not have to come to this. Just sign. Sell the house. You stay living there. We all win. Except me, I lose my assets. "It is always about you," exploded Linda. "Always you, you, you. And your grandkids. Do they not matter to you? They matter to me more than to you, clearly." "How dare you?" "I dare, because I am the only one who watches them without charging. The only one who gives them gifts. They do not open, the only one who cleans your house when you go on vacation. You did that because you wanted to spat Linda. I did it because I am an idiot, but not anymore." I stood up. "I am not going to sign anything. My house is not for sale. And if you want to sue me, go ahead. See you in court." "Mom." Michael looked desperate, truly desperate. "If you do not help us on Monday, they take the house. On Monday, they are going to throw your grandchildren on the street." And there it was, the final ultimatum. Then maybe it is time they learn that you cannot live on appearances. I walked towards the door. Morris stood up. "You are making a mistake, Helen. When you see your grandchildren suffering, you are going to regret it." "What is going to make me suffer?" I said, turning towards him as knowing that I allowed you to keep using your daughter to manipulate my son. But that is over. I left that house with Betty on my heels. In the car, my hands were shaking. Did I do good? "Betty, you did perfect. That was an ambush. They took you there to pressure you, intimidate you. Classic abuser tactic. Can they really sue me?" "They can try. They are not going to win, but they are going to make you go through a legal hell. And if they really lose their house—" Betty took my hand. "Helen, listen to me well. It is not your responsibility to save them from the consequences of their decisions. You did not put them in debt. They dug that hole all by themselves." She was right, but a mother's heart does not understand reasons. That night, I could not eat dinner. I sat in my living room in the dark, wondering if I had been too hard, if I should have signed just so my grandkids would not suffer. But then I remembered something. The children were already suffering. They had parents who taught them that appearances matter more than the truth, that money can be obtained by manipulating others, that grandparents exist to be used. If I gave in now, what lesson was I giving them? No, this was not just for me. It was for them too, because they deserved parents who loved them more than their ego. And if Michael needed to hit rock bottom to understand it, then let him hit rock bottom, even if it broke my heart to see him fall. What I did not know is that on Monday they were not only going to lose the house. Something was going to happen that would change everything. Something that neither they nor I saw coming. And when it happened finally, it would be clear who was right. Monday dawned gray, heavy clouds over the city, as if the sky knew something bad was about to happen. I woke up early. I had not slept well. All night I dreamed of my grandkids crying with boxes on the street, with Michael blaming me. I made my coffee. I sat by the window. And I waited. I did not know what exactly I was waiting for. A desperate call. A furious message. Silence. At 9 a.m, my phone vibrated. But it was not Michael. It was an unknown number. Mrs. Helen Reyes. Yes. Who is speaking? I am Principal Miller from Lincoln Elementary. Matthew and the twins. Sarah and Valerie study here. My heart accelerated. Did something happen? Are the kids okay? The kids are physically fine, but I need you to come to the school. It is urgent. Why? Where are their parents? Please, ma'am, come. It is important. She hung up. I got dressed in a rush. I called Betty. Betty, the school called me. Is something wrong with the kids? I am going to your house. Do not go alone. 20 minutes later, we were on our way to the elementary school. We arrived at the school, a private school. One of those that charge $350 a month per child. The principal received us in her office. A woman of about 50, serious but kind. Mrs. Reyes, thanks for coming. What happened? Where are the children? They are in class. Calm down, but I need to speak with you about a delicate situation. I sat down, Betty next to me. The principal took out a folder. The Reyes Dominguez children have 3 months of unpaid tuition. It is over $3,000 in debt. 3 months. Yes. We have called the parents multiple times. Mr. Michael promises to pay, but never does. Mrs. Linda stopped answering our calls. And why are you calling me? Because this morning Mr. Michael came. He said that you as the grandmother would take charge of the tuition from now on. He left your information. He said you would come today to settle the payment. The rage rose from my stomach to my throat. He had no right to say that. I understand. That is why I wanted to speak with you personally. Mrs. Reyes, if the payment is not regularized this week, I will have to unenroll the children. Unenroll them. It is school policy. I am very sorry. They are good kids, but I cannot make exceptions. Betty intervened. Did Michael sign any document committing her? No. He just gave the name and phone number. Then legally, she has no obligation. The principal looked at me with sadness. Legally, no. Morally, well, they are your grandchildren. There it was again, the emotional blackmail disguised as concern. Let me talk to my son, I said with a trembling voice. Of course, but I need an answer before Friday. We left that school in silence. In the car, I exploded. How dare he? How dare he use his children like that? Helen breathed. I cannot breathe. He is using those children as hostages. I know, and it is despicable, but you cannot carry this. And I let them get kicked out of school in the middle of the school year. It is not your decision. It is their parents. But the children were not to blame. When we arrived at my house, I dialed Michael. He did not answer. I dialed again. Nothing. I texted him. I need to talk to you now about the school. Scene. But he did not reply. An hour passed. 2 hours. At 3 p.m, finally he replied. I know why you are calling. I do not have the money, Mom. That is why I gave your name. You can pay it. I can pay it. It is $1,000 a month for the 3 of them from your pension of $800. Well, you would be short $200, but surely you have savings. He was asking me to use my entire pension on his children. And me? What was I going to live on? Michael, I am not going to pay that tuition. Then they are going to unenroll them. We'll find them a public school. Public school? Are you crazy? What is Linda's family going to say? Screw Linda's family. Silence on the other end. I had never shouted like that. I had never said a bad word. Mom. No, Michael. Listen to me well. I am not going to play your game. Those children are your responsibility, not mine. If you cannot pay tuition of $350 per child, then enroll them in public school where education is free. Linda is never going to accept. Then Linda needs to find a way to pay, let her sell her designer bags, her expensive shoes, her boutique clothes. We already sold all that. I stayed quiet. You already sold. Yes, the last 2 months we sold everything we could. Clothes, jewelry, the car, everything to pay the most urgent things. But it is not enough, Mom. It is never enough. His voice broke. Today they notified us officially. On Friday the bank comes. They are going to evict us. Michael, the kids do not know yet. I do not know how to tell them that we are going to lose their house, their room, their toys, everything. For the first time in months, I heard my son truly broken, not manipulative, not demanding, simply destroyed. Where are you going to go? I asked with a soft voice. With Linda's parents. But their house only has 2 extra rooms. They are going to be tight. The kids are going to have to share spaces. And Morris already made it clear it is temporary. Maximum 3 months. And after, I do not know, Mom. I do not know. I closed my eyes. I took a deep breath. Michael, do you want me to tell you the truth? Tell me. This was inevitable. You were living a lie, an expensive lie. And lies always fall. I know. You know really, yes. Linda and I had a horrible fight last night. She blames me. She says I do not earn enough, that I am not man enough, that her father was right about me. And what did you tell her? I told her that she forced me to live like this to show off, to get into debt. But I also wanted to, Mom. I wanted to prove I was not the poor guy everyone believed that I deserved to be with her. Son, you were never poor. You were humble, which is different. I know. But when they raise you telling you that you are not enough, he broke down. He cried. And my mother's heart wanted to fly to him, hug him, save him. But my reason stopped me. Michael, I am going to tell you something, and I want you to listen well. Tell me. I am not going to give you money. I am not going to sell my house. I am not going to pay the children's tuition. Mom, but I am going to do something better. What I am going to teach you to survive without lies. When you leave that house when you are with Linda's parents, when you touch rock bottom for real, there I will be. Not with money, with something better, with what you need to learn. And what is that dignity, honesty, true humility, silence? Do you still love me? He asked with a small child's voice. And there I broke. I love you more than I can explain. That is why I am not going to save you, because saving you would be condemning you to keep falling. I hung up. I let myself fall on the couch. Betty, who had heard everything, hugged me. You did the right thing. Then why does it feel so bad? Because loving hurts, Helen, especially when you love enough to let fall. The following days were torture. On Tuesday, Linda texted me, the first direct message she sent me in months. I hope you are happy. Your grandchildren are going to grow up hating you for this. I did not reply. On Wednesday, Morris called me. Helen, you are still in time to rectify. There is nothing to rectify. You are a cruel woman. I am a woman who respects herself. You should teach that to your daughter. He hung up furious. Thursday night, I received photos of Matthew, sent from Michael's phone. The boy was crying, hugging a box with his toys. The message said, "Is this what you wanted?" I cried all night. But I did not give in. Friday arrived. The eviction day. I stayed in my house. I did not go to see. I could not. But at 6 p.m, they knocked on my door. I opened. It was a girl. No, it was a young woman, about 16 years old, dark skin, pretty, with Michael's eyes. Grandma Helen. My heart stopped. Who are you? I am Danielle. Danielle Reyes. Reyes. I am your granddaughter, Michael's daughter. The world turned upside down. What Michael is my dad, but he does not know. My mom never told him, until now. And she handed me an envelope. She said it was time for everyone to know the truth. I opened the envelope with trembling hands. It was a paternity test. Michael Reyes, probability of paternity, 99.9%. Date of the test, 2 months ago. And a letter from a woman named Patricia. Mrs. Helen, we do not know each other. But your son was my boyfriend 17 years ago, before he met Linda. When we separated, I was pregnant. I never told him because he went to study out of state, and I did not want to ruin his future. I raised Danielle alone. We managed. But 2 months ago, Danielle found old photos. She investigated. She found Michael on social media. She contacted him. She asked for the test. Michael took it. But he has not told me anything. He has not spoken to Danielle since he knew the results. His daughter deserves to know her family, and you deserve to know you have another granddaughter, one who never asked you for anything, but who wants to meet you. Patricia. I looked up at that girl, my granddaughter, my first granddaughter actually, and I broke down crying. Come in, my child. Please, come in. And while she entered timidly into my house, while I made her hot chocolate with trembling hands, while I listened to her story, I understood something. Michael had not only been lying about money, he had been lying about everything, and Linda. Linda was about to discover that her perfect husband had secrets she never imagined. This was no longer just about a house. This was about a family built on lies, and all the lies were about to come to light in the most painful way possible. Danielle sat in my living room as if she had always belonged there. She had Michael's eyes, my late husband's smile, my hands. She was my blood, and I did not know it until 5 minutes ago. Tell me everything. I told her while I served her the hot chocolate, from the beginning, and she told me. Her mother, Patricia, had met Michael in college. They dated for 2 years. He was different then, she said, humble, hard-working, dreamer, when Patricia got pregnant. Michael had just gotten a scholarship to study a master's in Boston, 6 months away. My mom decided not to tell him, explained Danielle. She said she did not want to ruin his future, that she would take charge. And how did you survive? My mom is a nurse. She earned just enough. My grandparents helped us. It was not easy, but we never lacked anything important. Why did you look for Michael now? Danielle lowered her gaze. Because my mom is sick. Breast cancer. Stage 3. And I wanted to meet my dad before it was too late. My throat closed up. How did you find him social media? I searched his name, his photo. I saw his posts with his wife and his other children. And it hurt, Grandma. It hurt to see that he had this perfect family while I grew up wondering why my dad did not want me. He did not know my child. Now he does know. I wrote to him 2 months ago. I asked him to take the test. He said yes. We went to the lab. It came out positive. And afterwards he disappeared. Disappeared. He stopped answering my messages. Blocked my number. As if I were a mistake he wanted to erase. The rage I felt in that moment was different from everything before. My son, my Michael, he had not only lied about money, he had abandoned a daughter. Does Linda know I asked? I do not think so. That is why I came to you, because my mom said you deserved to know, and that maybe you would want to meet me, even if he did not. I hugged her. I hugged her like I should have hugged her 16 years ago, my precious child. Of course I want to meet you, and Michael is going to answer for this. I promise you. That night, Danielle stayed with me. We talked until dawn. She told me about her life, her dreams, her fears. She was brilliant, studying medicine at the state university, worked part-time to help her mom with expenses, everything Michael should have been, and everything his other children raised in luxury and lies were not. The next day, Saturday morning, I called my sisters. I need you to come, now. When Stella and Lucy arrived and met Danielle, they cried. She is identical to Michael when he was a child, said Stella, wiping her tears. She is better than Michael, I corrected, because she has something he lost a long time ago, dignity. What are you going to do? Asked Lucy. I am going to organize a meeting where all the lies come to light. Are you sure, Helen? Completely. I called Michael. I need you to come to my house tomorrow Sunday at 12 noon. You, Linda, and her parents. Mom, we are in the middle of the eviction. I do not have time for— It is not a request, Michael. It is an order. Either you come or I go to your in-laws' house and make the scene there. Silence. Is that okay? We are going. I also called Betty. Betty, I need you to be there tomorrow as a legal witness. What are you going to do? Justice. Sunday at 12, my small living room was full. On one side, my sisters Stella and Lucy Betty, with her briefcase, and Danielle sitting next to me. On the other side, Michael and Linda Morris and Gabriella. When they entered and saw Danielle, Michael turned white as a sheet. What? What is she doing in here? Sit down, Michael. Mom, this is a mistake. Sit down. My voice resonated on the walls. He sat down. Linda looked at Danielle with confusion. Linda's parents, too. Who is this girl? Asked Linda. Ask your husband, I said with a steel voice. All eyes went to Michael. He could not look at anyone. Michael insisted Linda. Who is she? It is— His voice was barely a whisper. She is my daughter. The silence that followed was deafening. What Linda jumped to her feet. She is 16 years old, I continued. Her name is Danielle. She was born before you two met. Michael found out 2 months ago and decided to hide it. Liar. Linda screamed at Michael. You told me you did not have children. I did not know she existed, but you knew 2 months ago and did not tell me. Morris stood up red with fury. This is unacceptable. You deceived us all. I did not— How many more lies? Michael asked Gabriella with a trembling voice. How many more? Linda was crying with rage. Our whole marriage is a lie. Everything. No love, listen. Do not touch me. Michael tried to get closer. She pushed him. You know what else? I continued. While you spent $2,000 in Cabo, while you bought $300 gifts for your children, this girl worked cleaning offices to help pay for her mother's cancer treatment. Danielle lowered her head, ashamed. While you asked me for my house, this girl lived with 3 changes of clothes because there was no money for more. Mom, please, Michael begged. And the worst, my voice broke. Is that when she looked for you when she asked to meet you? You turned your back on her just like you turned it on me. It is not the same. It is exactly the same. You use people when it suits you and discard them when it does not. Linda picked up her bag. I am leaving. I do not want to be one more minute with this man. Linda, wait. No, Michael, it is over. Everything is over. She left, slamming the door. Gabriella ran after her. Morris stayed looking at Michael with contempt. I am going to tell you something, boy. I always knew you were not enough for my daughter, but I thought at least you were honest. I was wrong. Sir, I can explain. I am not interested. For me, this marriage ended today, and we are not going to keep supporting a liar. He left. Michael stayed there, crumbled, crying. Mom, I ruined everything. Yes, son, you ruined it. What am I going to do? I sat in front of him. You are going to start living with the truth for the first time in years. And my children. And Linda, I do not know. Maybe she forgives you. Maybe not. But that is not my problem anymore. Am I not your problem anymore? You are my son. You will always be my son, but I am not going to be your lifesaver anymore. I turned towards Danielle. But she, I said, taking her hand, she is my granddaughter, and I am going to be there for her in the way I should have always been. Michael looked at Danielle. He really looked at her for the first time. I'm sorry, he told her with a broken voice. Sorry for ignoring you. Sorry for being a coward. Danielle did not say anything, just nodded. Can I get to know you little by little? If my mom agrees, she answered with maturity he never had. Michael got up, defeated, destroyed. I am leaving. I have to think. He left, and my living room stayed in silence until Stella spoke. Helen, what are you going to do now? I smiled. For the first time in months, a real smile. I am going to live. I am going to get to know my granddaughter. I am going to help Patricia with her treatments if she lets me. And I am going to stop living for others and start living for me. And your house? Asked Betty. My house. When I die, it is going to be donated just like I always planned. And Michael. Michael has to learn to walk alone. Maybe he loses everything. Maybe he loses his family. But maybe, just maybe in that process, he finds something he lost a long time ago. What? Asked Danielle. Himself. 3 months later, Michael and Linda separated. She went to live with her parents along with the children. Started divorce proceedings. Michael moved to a small apartment, a real small one of those for $800 a month. He got a second job. At night, in a warehouse. The children visited him on weekends, in his humble apartment without luxuries, without appearances. And little by little, very little by little, they began to have what they never had. A present dad. Matthew told me recently. Grandma Dad does not have money for expensive toys anymore, but now he plays with us. Before, he never played. The twins learned to make biscuits with me. They loved it. Ethan and Lily are still too small to understand, but they feel the change. Michael also started seeing Danielle. Once a week, coffee in a park, awkward conversations at first, but honest. For the first time, honest. Patricia, her mother, is in treatment. I met her. She is an incredible woman, strong, dignified. I offered her financial help for the treatment. She refused at first. I do not want charity. It is not charity. It is family. She cried. She accepted. Between Danielle, Michael, and me, we are covering the expenses. It is not much what I can contribute, but it is something. And sometimes something is everything. Linda tried to call me once, 2 months after everything. Mrs. Helen, I need to talk to you. Tell me. I want to apologize. It surprised me. Why? For everything. For how I treated you. For the humiliations. For being the person I was. Why do you change now? Because I lived 3 months in my parents' house, and I saw how my mom treats my sister-in-law, exactly how I treated you, and I understood. What did you understand? That I became my mother, and that I do not want my daughters to become me. We met. We drank coffee. We are not friends. Maybe we never will be. But there is respect, and that is enough. Today. Today is Sunday. Danielle comes to eat. Also Michael. And the 5 grandkids. Linda brings them. She does not stay, but she greets with kindness. My house is full of noise, of laughter, of homemade biscuits that now they do eat with pleasure. The gifts I bring are no longer expensive. They are made by me, with my hands, with my time, and they open them with real emotion. because they learned something their parents forgot. Value is not in the price, it is in the love with which it is given. Michael keeps fighting, keeps paying debts, keeps in therapy, but he is truly alive for the first time in years. "Mom," he told me recently, "thanks for not saving me." Thanks. Yes. If you had saved me, I would have never hit bottom. I would have never learned. And what did you learn? That the only thing worth it in this life is what you build with truth. Everything else falls. I hugged him. My son. My broken and put back together son. Not perfect, but real. And me. I learned that a mother's love does not have to be suffering. That setting boundaries is not stopping loving. That sometimes the best help is not helping. That dignity is not negotiated, not even for family. That the most expensive gifts do not buy what love wraps with trembling hands of a grandmother. And that when they despise who loves you, when they reject your gifts, when they use you and discard you, do not cry for them. Love yourself. Because a mother who does not respect herself cannot teach respect. And the best gift you can give your children is not your money, it is not your house, it is not your infinite sacrifice, it is your example. The example of a woman who knew how to say enough and who kept going with her head high. Because at the end of the day, gifts are forgotten, houses are lost, money runs out. But the lesson of dignity that lasts forever. The end. If this story touched your heart, if you have ever felt invisible in your own family, if you have learned that loving also means knowing when to let go, leave me your comment. Tell me where you are watching us from, what part of this story reached you deepest, and if you also have had to set boundaries even if it hurt, like if you believe true love sometimes has to be tough to be real. And subscribe to keep sharing stories of life, of dignity, of women who learn to love themselves without ceasing to love their own. Because we all deserve to be seen, we all deserve to be valued, and nobody has the right to turn off your light. See you in the next story. Take care, and remember your value is not defined by who rejects you, it is defined by you.